What is good? We're back. We've got week 8 running back rankings for every matchup for your pleasure. Got my man Chev over here. How you doing, man?
Hi, man. Ready to get into some rankings and matchups and running backs in week 8. Let's do it.
Yeah, so we've got this plotted out. We're going to walk through it through the matchups, 1 o'clocks to 4 o'clocks, Sunday, Monday, and then Thursday last. So I'm excited. I think this is the first time we've been on the Redraft to get channel together here. So we're going to try something new this week, see how it goes, and iron this thing out over the next few weeks. So, Chev, you ready to get into it?
Let's do it.
All right, let's start Browns, Patriots. We've got some running backs here would be Judkins on the Brown side, not too worried about Sampson or Ford. And then on the Patriots side, we've got Stevenson and Henderson. So let's start with the Browns. Let's see where we have, Quinshon Judkins in this one. Any thoughts leading into it? Because this is a tough matchup. We've seen running backs struggle. I think the stat I saw today was no singular running back has rushed for more than 50 yards against the Patriots this year. So normally we'd be super duper smashing Judkins after, a kind of another mini breakout, but in this one, I think we might need to temper expectations a little bit. Where do you think we should have Judkins, or what are your thoughts on him this week?
I mean, I just turned off my power tools like right before we hit record. So, but this is, again, you hit the nail on the head. It's a really tough matchup. So I would have him slightly lower than normal. I mean, this is pretty easy. Like, he would be just below that elite of the elite 25 point a game tier, but we got to bump him down a little bit more. So tier 3?
Yeah, we're going to go tier 3, Quinshon Judkins. We got him at RB12 this week. Like I said, tough matchup, but I do think we can prevail here some. He's been great. Just needs to get free once or twice. So excited for that one.
On the flip side, we got the Patriots. If you just want to feel like you're going to punch yourself in the nuts a bunch, watch the Patriots. Just keep Ramondre Stevenson out there, no matter how many times he fumbles. And Travion Henderson is just only running behind Will Campbell on the left side of the offensive line. So with that being said, where do you have Stevenson this week?
We've got Ramondre Stevenson in tier 5, RB25. Again, tough matchup, coming off a nice week last week from Stevenson, right? But we've, like you said, we've seen time after time he's their guy right now, and it's not changing. We can want to will Henderson into submission as much as we possibly could want. It's not happening right now. Henderson's basically at this point, unless you absolutely have to play him, just a do not start for me. He's at the bottom of tier 6, RB35 this week. Any take on any more Patriots running back talk for your pleasure here?
I'm saddened so much by all of this that let's just move on.
All right. We got Bills, Panthers, Bills at Panthers, Bills -7.5. Total is 45.5. We've got some solid players in this one, right? Now, we are getting kneecapped a bit here with the pan thing with Rico and Chuba, right? So how are we playing with that duo kind of moving forward until we have some more answers, Chev?
I mean, you just got to wait and see if Canales finally gets frustrated and goes back to his pattern of usage with running backs and just picks one and says, cool, we're going to roll with you. Chuba's got the contract. Rico Dowdle's got the juice. There's no way to play it. You just have to start them both and hope that they hit double digits and one of them falls into the end zone, because that's right. The one that's going to be the most valuable.
Yeah.
But Rico Dowdle looks like the better back. So I'm not sure if Chuba's still working through the calf injury. I mean, he's at 3.7 a carry. Rico Dowdle's coming off basically 500 yards from scrimmage in the last 2 games. And then he was more productive last game. So, I mean, it's a better feeling to play Rico Dowdle right now for sure.
Yeah. I don't necessarily want to play either one of them if I don't have to, right? So we've got them in tier 4 right now, back to back with each other, because I don't feel great about playing either one of them if I have some other options. That's kind of the point of the tiers in the rankings here. RB19, RB20. If I had a better option, I would play him. Like right now, we have Jaylen Warren sliding below him as we're talking about this. I'm gonna bump Jaylen Warren ahead of either one of them. I'd rather avoid that mess, and I'd rather play Jaylen Warren this week, coming off a nice week last week.
I don't mind that at all, honestly. Like
Yeah.
Jaylen Warren's so much safer. He looks. I mean, he's got the juice, and he's got very little backfield competition. When he's healthy, Kenneth Gainwell is the backup, and we don't have to talk about the other stuff right now.
Yeah, I mean, the Panthers are talking about, well, we studied a lot of Lions tape, bro. You're not the Lions. There's very few Lions in the league. Like, don't study the Lions tape. Pick one of these guys and play him. I mean, you got two guys. It does seem that like Chuba could be effective with less touches, and Rico needs to be the guy with more touches. So like, I kind of understand what you're thinking there, but like, it's extremely frustrating because you just kind of struck gold with Rico there for a couple of weeks, and Chuba's was solid to start the season. So it's a bummer right now that I feel like they're going to tie one hand behind your back. Now, on the other side of this matchup, we got the Bills, right? And Cook in tier 2, and we owe many apologies to the James Cooks over this last fantasy off season, right?
Yes. Yeah, I mean, he's awesome. He got the contract extension. This is one of the best run blocking offensive lines in the league, combined with him being one of the most dynamic talents in the league. I mean, you could make an argument based on the first 4 weeks that he belongs in tier 1, but then that last stinker that he left you with before the bye week makes you bump him down a little bit. So yeah. I get it.
Yeah, they got beat up a little bit in Atlanta, right? And still not necessarily elite usage. You'd like to see some more usage, maybe some more catches. But Carolina has been absolutely ridiculous at run defense. So typically he'd be, like you said, I'd be having at the top of tier 2. We got him coming in at RB8, kind of in the middle bottom of our tier 2 right now. Mostly just because of that matchup. Like you said, Carolina's defense, as far as run defense has been top notch.
Yeah, Derek Brown. Shout out to Derek Brown.
Shout out to him. All right, we're right back. We got Eagles Giants on the next matchup here. Eagles obviously looking for some revenge. Going to have Jalen Carter back in this one, right? The real question is what are we doing with Saquon? Are we just continually just smashing our head against the wall saying we're going to get it together? The model's saying, hey, we're going to, the mean regression is at 7.24, basically saying he's eventually, this has got to come back to him being himself. What are we doing with Saquon this week?
Well, I just saw that the last 2 or 3 weeks, the Eagles have been basically dead last in RB usage. So there's going to be a correction. Like they're trying to balance it out between their two highly talented and paid receivers and then what they actually need to win football games, which is what they won a Super Bowl with. So I think, honestly, Saquon, this time last year would have been absolute heresy to say that he would be in tier 2, but that's where we are right now. And it's not a good feeling tier 2 right now either, because the fantasy points just aren't coming in like they were last year, but he's still awesome.
Right.
Example given the run where he, it should have been a 1 yard gain to turn it into an 8 yard gain. And I'm pretty sure he teleported.
Yeah. No, I think, he was propped up during the first part of the season with some touchdowns and some catches. And then it's been tough the last couple of weeks for the Saquon owners. But I'm sticking with it. Like you said, tier 2 for Saquon for sure. Got him here at RB7. Obviously, we got a little Bucky caveat here coming up, but he's right behind Bucky Irving. And you're pretty much playing, everybody in tier 1 and tier 2 if you have them and they're healthy, right? Tier 3 and the Eagles' offensive line has been rather banged up, so that's obviously something to monitor. But you can't get away from Saquon at this point. So. What's good? You know the phrase, the house always wins? Well, not anymore with our new sponsor, Profit X. Profit X, America's #1 sports prediction market, is a peer-to-peer sports prediction market where users play against each other instead of a sports book versus the house. You almost always get the best price in any spread, money line, total, and player prop since you're playing against other people rather than the book. It looks just like a sports book, but with way better odds. So what are you waiting for? Go download the app and use promo code FFD to claim up to $200 in profit cash on all the plays you use in the first 30 days of playing on site. Link in the description. Now, let's see what we got here. It's early in the week. So we haven't done the P-Whopper show, which is how I like to base a lot of my props on or bet on it later in the week. So make sure you're checking those out. I got to bet against the Miami Dolphins right now. Miami's at Atlanta. Atlanta's been pretty solid at home. Atlanta just got shut down by San Fran, and that run game got taken to the woodshed a little bit. Didn't quite get going. I think that Atlanta Falcons run game just opens hellfire on the Miami Dolphins. I'm going to take Atlanta -7 at home. Just maybe finally putting the Dolphins out of their misery. Their coach maybe gets fired after this one, and I think Atlanta drowns the Dolphins. So I'm taking Atlanta -7. Going to the other side, Scatabo was quite a hero in this last one, but like I mentioned at the top of this matchup, Jalen Carter should be back. That's a big difference maker in the run game. Denver Broncos did a good job against Scatabo last week for the most part. Where we got Scatabo in this rematch in just a short turnaround for Eagles Giants.
I mean, tier 3 is pretty comfortable spot, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's where we have him. That's where I'm comfortable. Like
right.
he's getting the work. He's catching passes. He's falling in the end zone. He's physical. It's so much fun. Like the fully realized version of the Anglo-Saxon assassin is here to stay.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun to watch. They're bringing the juice. Him and Dart are so much fun. I'll be interested to see how Fangio adjusts to the second go round with these guys. Does he take a page out of kind of just what the Broncos were doing a little bit? Hey, we're going to load this box up. We're going to get a spy in here. Again, the Eagles dealing with a little bit of the injury bug here and there, but having Carter back should be huge in that one. We've got Scatabo at tier 3, RB15 coming into the week. All right, Bears at Ravens. Ravens struggling. Bears are kind of hot on the ground for sure. So where does that put us this week with this matchup? A must-win for the Ravens, obviously coming off the bye. Bears, DeAndre Swift. What are we doing with him this week, Chev?
I love DeAndre Swift this week, and that's why he's in tier 3. So it's just that offensive line is gelled, and I don't know what took place, but I mean, they ran for 220 yards last week. You had Swift and Monongai both surpass 80 yards rushing. Swift had over 100. So yeah, Swift's going to be in tier 3 this week. I mean, he's right there. I've got him. Let's see, RB13. That's where we're at right there. So Swift is RB13, tier 3, and Monongai is going to be way down there, or down in tier 6. But that's keep your eyes open. You could do. I mean, if you got decimated by injury, yeah, this could be a spot where you can throw him in because the Ravens all of a sudden have turned into like a run funnel defense. Or just a bad defense in general. They can't stop a nosebleed right now.
Right. And you would think coming out of the bye that you get an adjustment. You see the Ravens playing like the old Ravens, and we would like to think that, and we're coming in with that mindset. But there's a real chance that if no Lamar again, they might come out and be juiced up for a quarter and then get slapped here once again. Last time we saw them against the Rams wasn't the absolute worst, but also still not quite to the level that we thought the Baltimore Ravens should be. So it could be a big spot for, Swift to come back down to earth here a little bit. But I'm going to think Ben Johnson and the boys come in here with a nice game plan and get Swift going. And Monongai, like you said, tier 6, that's kind of a break glass in case of emergency situation if you're in the tier 6 running backs for the most part. So on the other side of that, we have the Baltimore Ravens. Again, this offense needs to get right. Even if Lamar isn't back, last time we saw Henry, 124 yards, I believe, is what we saw from Derek, and a decent amount of attempts. So I think they got to lean on Henry once again in this matchup. So he's in tier 3. He's going to come in at the top of tier 3 at RB10. I think he's going to get a steady workload with or without Lamar.
Yeah, I mean, this is what they brought him in for. Like you have a Hall of Fame running back, just hand him the ball. It doesn't have to be hard, guys. And this is a scenario. Now, the Bears were one of the worst run defenses in the league for the first 4 or 5 weeks of the season. They've gotten some pieces back. So this isn't as sneaky good as we thought it was, but also Derrick Henry's just as good, if not better, than he's ever been outside of the fumbles. So we're going to say that they're going to lean on him, and he's our RB10.
Let's do it. Moving on. 49ers at Texans. Niners, a surprise team. Like we were talking about when we were doing this off air, like you keep thinking that San Fran is just the defense is just gonna drop the ball, and maybe a little bit in that Baker game you did, but you lose Fred Warner in that game, and I use the analogy in the Bet on It show of like that's got to feel like your dog died when you're on the field there. Like Fred is, you already lost Bosa. Fred is like everything. He's the energy of kind of what brings that Niners team to life, and then Bethune comes in here, and them boys go and stop Bijan, who just ran all over the place the week previous to that, right? So, yeah, definitely a tougher matchup than I think anybody wants to admit right now against San Fran, but this is a pretty easy one. CMC is on a pace to catch 1 million footballs, has caught more footballs than half the receivers in the league, more than half the receivers in the league. He's tier 1. What are you doing with the Texans, Chev?
Just nothing. What are you doing with the Texans? Not a damn thing is what I'm doing.
I can get away with playing, marks if I have to. Just for some, he scored this past game, right? We just saw him last night.
It looks fucking good, but that offense is so bad.
The offensive line's bad. He just needs to pop 1 or 2. And then at one point in that game yesterday, I forget who was on the call. Maybe it was Riddick and Orlovsky, I think.
Yeah.
Orlovsky kind of pointed out, and they threw it to him, and he caught it and went 8 yards. Is like, oh, this is what they need to do. They need to circumvent this rush and this bad offensive line with getting it out to, and then, they threw it to him 2 more times the entire game. And it's like, go back, throw the ball to Woody Marks, throw it to him.
Treat him like Alvin Kamara. Like, just throw him the ball as much as humanly possible.
Right.
And good things are going to happen.
Your run game's not really working. It may or may not work against the Niners. I feel like at some point that the levee could possibly break, but they got some parts and pieces back on that deep that, they're losing some and gaining some every week, it seems. So a high-end matchup or a high-end player, high-end ranking, rather low-end ranking on the other side of that one. All right, let's move to the 4 o'clocks, or as Chev calls them, the 3 o'clocks.
That's right.
We got Bucks, Saints coming in. Bucks coming off a loss. Baker looking like having his worst performance that he's had pretty much all season. And this one, we're doing this on a Tuesday night, so we don't exactly know the health of Bucky Irving just yet. But if Bucky comes in, I've got him at the top of tier 2, right?
Correct. I mean, Bucky's elite, and we know he's elite. So why, like, if he's playing, you're playing him. You're not going to bench him. There's not going to be a start-sit question that I'll answer about Bucky Irving if he is active.
Right.
Tier 2 right here for us. And, like, you just have to wait and see if he's active, man. And if he is active, then that gives us, a pretty good idea of what's going to go on, because they've taken their time, and it's a shoulder injury and I believe an ankle sprain that looked absolutely terrible. So yeah, you're going to play Bucky as the top of tier 2, RB6 on the week. And if he does not play, that moves Rachaad White into tier 2, but the back of tier 2 at RB9.
Right. And look, for Rachaad White, if Bucky doesn't play, Rashad's an auto play, for how good he's been, and, wasn't excellent per se last night. And, there's some running backs below him here that maybe you're like, oh, they should be ahead of him. But I mean, the receiving upside, and then they're down receivers. I think they can get this running game kind of back where it has been heading and where the running back production has been over the last couple of weeks in this, always fun divisional matchup, no matter where these kind of teams are sitting. So on the Saints side of things, what in the world are we doing with Alvin Kamara, Chev? How are we managing this bummer of a season we're seeing from AK right now?
It's been bad. Do I have hope that it's going to get better? No. Do I think that he's going to regress and start performing well? Also no. So he's in tier 5 for me. You can't throw him away. We were having a conversation before the show started, and it was like, well, do we want to you had a guy ahead of him that we're going to talk about a little bit later, and I was like, I don't know, but the more I think about it, the more it's just me being, beholden to the 6 touchdown game 5 years ago and not the Alvin Kamara of today. So
right.
He's in tier 5. He's our RB23. This is not a tasty burger. I don't like saying this out loud.
Yeah. Still can play him if I need to play him, but I'm not super excited. If there's some other guys I could potentially shoehorn in there, I might let Alvin Kamara ride the pine, but I'm not, it'd have to be pretty bad for me to not have to potentially shoehorn him in there. But yeah, tier 5, kind of right where we're going there. Obviously, we just saw Kendre Miller have an ACL for the year. So our guy, Devin Neal, may get a chance, but we're not playing him. Maybe you pick him up, throw him on the bottom of a roster at the end of the week when you get some outs or whatever. If you can use the IR spot for that, you grab some Devin Neal. Great pass protection play in that one. If you haven't seen it, go check it out. All right, Cowboys, Broncos coming in here. Broncos -3 in this one. Totals 48.5. Javonte has been absolutely fantastic this year, but bit of a bummer of a matchup potentially here for Javonte Williams. So I think he's been a solid tier 2, but maybe I'm slightly downgrading to a tier 3 here, RB11 for Javonte. How do you feel about that, Shep?
I love it. I mean, we were wrong. All my Javonte bags that I have in Dynasty are now back alive again, but this is a tough matchup. This is a rough matchup. Cam Scatterbo got there with just absolute sheer willpower and volume, but if he doesn't fall into the end zone, it's just not going to be a fun time. So he's in tier 3.
Yeah, still playing him.
You can't fade it because there's nobody else to challenge him, but might not be a ceiling performance from Javonte, but also revenge game. So
interesting plot twist. I like that. I like that angle.
Yeah.
And on the Broncos side, good matchup, right? He didn't play out that well for our Bill last week, right? It really, really stymied my fantasy football survivor there. Had Bill in the lineup, so that was a bummer. But where are we ranking these Broncos running backs against this Cowboys defense?
Yeah, I mean, J.K. Dobbins is just this. The longer he stays healthy, the better he gets at football. He's in tier 3. I mean, do you think that this is just too good of a matchup, man? The RB14, tier 3. He's doing it week in and week out. Yeah, I don't really know what else to say. And then Harvey's in tier 5. He's going to be usable. He's slowly but surely growing into that role. It's not what you wanted, but hey, it's something. It's better than it feels better than if you drafted Travion Henderson. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah, you can at least use him if you need him, right? And feel like, hey, he might not absolutely kill me. JK, like you said, been rock solid most of the year. The last 2 had some down games against the Jets and the Giants, 4 and 9 points respectively. But this is a nice spot to be able to bounce back, get this offensive line back rolling, get back to your roots of running the ball a little bit. Maybe you throw it to him once or twice in this one, get him a couple other easy points. So, yeah, I like all the rankings there. RJ Harvey kind of slots in as, little better than in case of emergency. He's in case of emergency, I think, with some upside here. So we maybe have RJ ranked slightly too high here, but I like the matchup a lot. And then if you do have to kind of turn into a little bit of a shootout because defense gets beat up a little one way or another, then RJ Harvey even better. Dallas has been scoring points. All right, let's shoot over to Falcons Dolphins. Is this the week? Is this the week that the Dolphins burn it to the ground and everything goes? I don't know. I think the Falcons come in here, run it down their throats. Bijan, tier 1, back on track this week, right? Nothing to see here.
I mean, it's Bijan. Like he could set the rushing record this week. That's where we're at. I mean, what else is there to say?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely a stud, and still scored some points last week because of some catches and whatnot. But the Niners had a good game plan for him. The Dolphins can have whatever game plan they want for him, and it's not going to matter. He's going to get his. And then Algier again been great. And because of the matchup here, I think, he's in tier 6 for us. So, could give you some startability if you absolutely needed it. Bijan tier 1. I don't want to have to play Algier if I don't want to, or if I don't need to. If I absolutely had to, maybe you could slot him in there again. Awful matchup here, or great matchup, rather, awful defense.
Looking for more FFD? Sign up for Patreon and get access to our rankings, projections, ADP, an extra show every single week, and more for your pleasure.
Dolphin side, we got Achane. We're going to throw him in tier 1 too. Look, he's not necessarily up there with the CMC points per game per se, week in, week out, but he's basically the only thing on the Dolphins right now that is worth a crap. So we got Achane tier 1. I mean, you're playing Achane regardless. It doesn't matter where we rank him, tier 1, tier 2.
Yeah,
you're playing him.
You say tier 1, you don't even need to throw a ranking in there, because like if I'm having to tell you to start these guys, you're either playing in like a 2-man league with your grandma, or you're just trying to flex on somebody. Like, so
right.
What are we doing?
Right. All right. Colts, Titans. We've got JT. That's tier 1. Outside of what CMC's doing and Bijan having some crazy weeks, he's been the rock solid. Just, of course, everybody was a little bit asleep on JT. I feel like some haterade going down, but undeniable this year. RB1, tier 1. Take it for what it is, and he's got quite the matchup this week against the Titans. So they might be able to pull a Chiefs this week and maybe be resting starters in the 4th. But since you are the resident Titans fans, what are we doing with these Titans running backs, Chev?
The same thing I told you to do with the Texans running backs, which is throw them in the trash.
Yeah.
All right. Tier 6 for Tony Pollard and Tyjae Spears. This is not only is it not a good matchup, but like there's just not a lot of hope or reasoning to believe that this is going to go well. So yeah. I wish I could articulate or wax poetically about that, but no, it just sucks. You had to play a Titans running back this week. Prayers up.
Prayers up. I mean, I'll squeeze Pollard in the lineup if I have to.
If you have to.
Like you said, tier 6, and then, Spears also coming in a tier 6, bottom end tier 6 kind of deal. So probably should be in tier 7.
Yeah, just we don't even have a tier 7, but that's where he should be. Yeah, that's where he should be. This is just if you start either one, you're just hopeful for more than 4.75 points.
Yeah. I think Pollard actually had an okay game in this past week, but it is what it is. Yeah. All right, Sunday Night Football. We got Packers, Steelers. Packers -3. Josh Jacobs, 20 points a game right now. He's in tier 1. Of course, you're playing him. Is what it is. What were you saying, Chev?
I said it's just so sexy.
Yeah. I mean, they're just feeding Jacobs as he's the engine that stirs the drink right now. So, obviously you're playing Jacobs every week. And then on the Steelers side, Jaylen Warren just had a really nice game over there and has one of his better performances of the season. Obviously, Cincinnati is Cincinnati, and they had a bit of a track meet there, but he's coming in at tier 4 for us right now, right? I mean, pretty feel comfortable playing Jaylen Warren this week.
Yes. I mean, yes. Yeah. I mean, he's getting bell cow usage. All the things that we saw from Najee Harris, they were just like that scene in Fresh Prince where he hands him the black book. Arthur Smith just handed the black book to Jaylen Warren, and then just fired Caleb Johnson into the fucking sun. This isn't what this is about, though. I'm gonna stay on tap.
And look, I think there's a lot of A-Raj in there as well. So
yeah.
And then Gainwell coming in at tier 6. He gives you, both of those guys have better juice in the pass game, right, as well, which is kind of where that run game was in the beginning of the season, where they were kind of using that quick pass game to kind of circumnavigate a run game. But it does seem like they've settled in. That offensive line has settled in. The 3 tight ends have settled in. The way they're going to run the ball, they're doing a good job of creatively kind of figuring out ways to run the ball effectively. And I think they'll They'll probably have their hands full with the Packers, but I still feel pretty comfortable with Warren in this one. So Monday Night Football, we got Commanders Chiefs. Chiefs are just gonna, I think Chiefs roll them up in this one. No Jaden Daniels, most likely. I wouldn't think, but maybe we'll see.
I really hope not.
Yeah, I would like for
Genuinely
him.
do.
Yeah. All right, what are we doing with the Chiefs running backs in this one? Because really haven't been too much of a factor week in, week out. Where do we have them factored in this week, Chev?
I wrote something out that's really just this well thought out thing about the distribution of touches between the Chiefs running backs and where I think it's going. You want to hear it?
Sure.
So yeah, Pacheco's in tier 5. Kareem Hunt's in tier 6. Pacheco did score a touchdown, and he's had at least 50 yards rushing, I believe, in back-to-back games. So maybe he's getting it going on the ground a little bit. Important note that me and you haven't really talked about because we've just been so focused on how bad he's been for fantasy. But I think he's hitting that timeline of return to performance with the injury because it's the same thing with Tony Pollard.
Yeah.
So we could be getting back like, Flintstone feet, whatever shit that he was doing before he had the surgery and broke all the shit. So he could be becoming good again, but also they're not going to give him all the goal line work. And now I wouldn't be on brand with everything that I've ever said on a microphone next to you, okay, if I didn't talk about Brashard Smith.
Ooh.
So, hey, 4 targets in at least 3 of the last 4 games. I talked about it on the waiver show. He's starting to get a little bit more comfortable and confident, and they're just giving him opportunities in space. Like, this is a guy that can score you 70-yard touchdowns. So now career high in snap percentage. Now that is partially due to the blowout, but also I wanted to talk about it. I've said too much. Let's talk about the one guy in the Commanders backfield that you would play this week.
I just wanted to go back to Pacheco real quick. 15 touches, most touches he had all year, got a touchdown finally. Obviously, there was a big blowout game. But I tend to agree. This is week 5 with potential some upside here. The Redskins or Commanders rather have been awful against the run and tackling, and I don't think they're getting much more juiced up as the season's kind of going on here. So this is a little bit of an interesting play there for Pacheco. I could figure I could get more excited about Pacheco than Kamara potentially this week.
Yeah.
So
that's the thing is like it's not as bad as it was the first month of the season, but now hey, go send some trades for a cheap Pacheco.
I like that timeline thing. I like that. That's a good point out there.
Yeah.
So then they got 2 weeks. They got Washington, Buffalo, and then they get into the bye. So he could really come out of there, looking super. But they do get Rashee Rice back, which again goes back to maybe circumnavigating a little bit of that run game by the short, quick, middle of the field passing game being back to full strength, kind of where they want to do, and just be able to count that box and take the advantage wherever they want it. So we shall see. TBD. I think this is a pivotal kind of game of how maybe Pacheco gets viewed for rest of the season here.
Correct. Yeah, absolutely. If he sucks here, then I'm done.
Yeah. Commanders, I want to be behind Bill. I thought last week was the week. And as you said, so I have the same thing with the Commanders running backs right now. I'm not super hyped. Out of respect, I left Krosky Merritt in tier 5 right now.
It hurts. It hurts.
Right. He's RB20. I'd play Pacheco over him.
Yes. And think about 2 weeks ago. There's zero chance you would have said that shit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. After the Chargers game, if you're like, hey, Pacheco or Bill rest of the season, it'd be like smash Bill, submit, log out.
Right. Exactly. But that's how things change. And that's why nobody's rankings reign supreme, because NFL. Yeah.
These are human beings that we have no impact on. And
right.
Like it be like that sometimes.
You think but you have no idea. Yeah. All right. Last of the week. We're going Thursday last. We got Vikings, Chargers. Could be an interesting game here. And we've kind of got a bit of a panned situation in this one a little bit. Aaron Jones's practice window has been activated here, but it is the short week. So we've kind of got to play that how it is. And if they both come out, then I've got them kind of both in that tier 4, right? It's a decent matchup here. The Chargers have been not great against the run. So if they're both out there, we like Mason and Jones kind of similarly. They both have a chance to have good games because of where the Chargers have been defensively in the last few. But if one of them, if Aaron Jones doesn't play, I think Mason is an easy tier up, right?
Easy. So I mean, just looking at the last 2 weeks, you allowed 2 touchdowns to Devon Achane, 3 touchdowns to Jonathan Taylor. This is a very, very, very easy spot for Jordan Mason to blow up. Or if Aaron Jones plays, like you could get double-digit production, like more than 12 points from each running back because they're dumping the ball off, or Jordan Mason's getting the goal line clear. This is a great matchup. I can't tell you, they've allowed 7 touchdowns to running backs just rushing this season.
Yeah. And then on the Chargers side, we have Vidal. Haskins seems injured. Nyheim Hines is the other running back. Not really going to give him much run on this one. And maybe after this next week, we'll be forced to. But Vidal right now coming in at RB 22 on the week. Top of tier 5, Chev. Any qualms with that? Or I think there's some upside there. The script wasn't quite right to see the second victory lap from Matt Kelly after 1 week versus the Dolphins. But I don't mind. I like Vidal a whole lot more this week, right? Because the Colts got on him early, and that's just they had to throw it 55 times. That's just not what Vidal is. If we can get back into more of a well-rounded kind of balanced game against Minnesota, where I don't think any team necessarily I feel as though can run away or will run away with it. I don't mind Vidal this week at all. I wouldn't be scared to start Vidal, I guess.
Yeah, man. I mean, the sun shines on a dog's ass every now and then. So, victory lap, run a marathon, whatever. Kamani Vidal's a good play this week. So I think that, we could see here, first of all, the one thing it's flipped on its head this season is the Thursday night games usually suck. And I'm really looking forward to this one.
Last week was exciting, and the week before that was exciting. I mean, obviously it sucked in the wrong reason, but it was exciting.
Right. So, like, that's the thing. Is like, I think that this is going to absolutely shoot out, and you got a potential. I mean, it could be a boat, but I think it's just gonna be it's gonna be a really good game, and I think Kamani Vidal could benefit, especially if there's no Hassan Haskins, who I think he's already been ruled out.
I believe so. Efforting while we close this out, but Chev, anything else before we get out of here?
Oh man, this is fun. I like this a lot.
Yeah, so. Hamstring mispractice. I don't know if we're going to see him. So
obviously
it's early in the week, so we get more concrete evidence, and some of this will shift around potentially on some injury stuff. But that's the breaks for doing it on a Tuesday night. But
yeah, well, I mean that game's on Thursday, so he's out.
Right. Yeah, good call.
Yeah.
So, hey, this was great. Little clunky to get started here, but we got things rolling. It's first time back in the saddle together here, so I liked it, man. We'll do this again next week, I think.
Yeah. All right, man. Sean. That's this. Here's the deal. I just want to say this before we go. Okay. All right. First and foremost, we love Kamani Vidal, but also nobody's gonna fucking dunk on us on the internet and think they're gonna get away with it. So I'm gonna do some diabolical shit. And with that being said, there's ball watchers and ball knowers. Assign yourselves accordingly.
Peace.